Morning and welcome to day 155 of the income stream. I'm so excited today because number one, we're going to be talking about side hustles, starting something small on the side that can germinate and grow into something potentially full-time or at least a great supplemental part of our bank account, if that makes sense. And we have a special guest to help us along the way. That special guest is going to come in about halfway through, so make sure you stick around for that. I see a lot of guesses here in the live chat. If you're watching the replay, hashtag team replay in the comment section. If you're here live with us today, thank you so much for joining once again. You inspire me to wake up every single day and provide value. And if you'd like to say hello to some of your fellow core and team here, please feel free to do that. And make sure to stick around because we're going to uncover a lot of things that could be the difference between you actually making things work and actually trying things and having them fail. Really important stuff today. Stick around. Here we go.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
So dope. I also have to give a big shout out to Karma Cashflow, who's probably watching the replay right now, but I was on his show this morning, which was super cool. Some of you were there too. I hope y'all enjoyed that conversation. We talked about podcasting, which is really cool. And in fact, a small little clue today about today's guest is that we connected on a podcast. That's how we, in fact, became really good friends and we've helped each other out. And I'm excited to bring this person on today to talk more deeply about side hustles and starting something on the side, how to get started, how to know what to do and what the first steps are. But before we get to our special guest, I do want to unpack a few things for you that are going to be really, really important up here in our mind. And like when we start anything new, oftentimes the thing that's going to stop us is ourselves. And oftentimes it's these stories that we tell ourselves about what is going on in our brain. Because whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Now that's a quote from Henry Ford, one of my favorite quotes of all time, because it really displays this idea of, well, you have to have some sort of belief that this is going to happen. And there's a lot of tips and strategies that I want to share with you here in the early parts of this episode about that. And most of all, the number one thing that's stopping people from starting a side hustle, and let me know if this is you, even if you're watching the replay, is that you just don't feel like you have time for it, right? We are all so busy, and especially if you have kids nowadays with kids at home and social and distance learning and all this kind of stuff, it is even harder to find that extra time too. And this is something we have to unlock, because if we don't find this extra time, then of course, no matter what we learn or what strategies come out, well, then how are we even going to implement any of this stuff, right? So we need to talk about time to start out with, right? On the side. And this is going to be time that you're going to have on the side. Now, there's some very easy and obvious things that we could do to find extra time. That's number one, sacrificing things that maybe we like to do, but we shouldn't or definitely don't need to do right now. You have some things that likely you need to take care of. And defining what those things are is really important, because the things that aren't quite as important can be temporarily put on hold in order for you to start building something new. Now, I remember when I had kids, there were a number of different things that I realized that I had to give up in order for me to continue to grow my business and stay a supportive husband and father as well. And because we understand our why, it's really, really easy to make these decisions, even though these are things that I wanted to give up. I'm not going to get into all those things right now. Some of them being things like golf and whatnot. I haven't golfed since I've had kids, and I'm totally okay with that. But we will have to make sacrifices. As Gary Vaynerchuk often says, stop watching Lost, although Lost isn't a thing anymore. I remember when Lost was a series that everybody was watching, his take was, yo, we got to stop watching Lost because we got to start getting our businesses up and running. Now, I'm not going to talk about hustle culture too much here. I interestingly dropped a Instagram photo the other day about an article that was written about Gary Vee and this idea of hustle and how he's still stepping forward into that, especially during this time. And some people are perceiving that as a little bit dangerous. And we can have a complete episode about this here today if we wanted to, but I'm not going to dive too deep into it. But I just want to say, in my opinion, micro hustle, macro patience. That's a Gary Vaynerchuk phrase that I absolutely love. Micro hustle, macro patience. But hustle doesn't mean work your butt off, get no sleep, sacrifice everything that you love to do in order to stay up later and sacrifice your relationships and sleep and health and all this stuff so you can get your business done. that is, I think, what a lot of people perceive as hustle. But to me, hustle is really leaning into the things that you want to do, whether it's business-related things or family-related things. I hustle on family just as much as I hustle on business. And what does that mean? It means I have in my calendar specific moments of time where it's sacred family time. Like nothing can come into that time, and it's something that's really important to me. I hustle on family as a result of trying to educate my kids, and I read and I watch and I learn about what I can do to better support my kids for the future and try to give them as many options as possible and help get them ready for the world that they're about to enter into, right? So there's a lot of things about hustle that we can debate, but truth is we need to know what our why is. And that's another important aspect of the side hustle. And it's likely a reason why we want to start is just we have something in the back of our minds that maybe isn't the way it should be, or we would love some additional financial support, but we need to know what that why is. And it's not just the financial support too, right? A side hustle, yes, we want to make some extra money. And we're going to be talking about making money today, and especially how to do this quickly, but doing it the right way, especially when we bring our special guest on. Again, for those of you coming in a little bit later, we have a special guest coming on, which will be really fun and exciting. And I can't wait to introduce you to this person. And all the names I've seen so far, y'all have gotten wrong. You haven't nailed who this person is yet. So again, I appreciate you for coming in here. Nicolay saying sacred God time. Yes, whatever you know that is sacred, don't sacrifice that. But there are some things likely that you can so that you can get this time back. We also have to understand what our why is, like what I was saying. And for me, it's the kids. For me, it's freedom to spend time with them and to be able to teach them, to educate them. That's my drive. And thankfully, there are little reminders that run around the house every single day. For those of you who might be solo and doing this on your own, and you might not have kids or have a there's just something about having kids that really gets you moving, right? Like every moment that I'm wasting feels like I'm taking away from my kid. And that's my kids. That's a very, very motivational thing for me to get the right things done, to prioritize and to understand what I need to be working on, if that makes sense. But we have to also understand that we need to be reminded of that why, even if we're working on our own, because if you don't have a reason, then there's no reason to take action, right? When I was laid off in 2008, I had a reason to do the things and to take the bigger risks and the bolder actions to actually build a successful business. I guarantee you that if I did not get laid off, I would not be where I am today, because it forced me to look outside of the normal circumstances that I was in, and it forced me to make decisions that I wouldn't have made otherwise, right? So the why became very apparent and the drive became there. And in fact, a lot of people go, hey, Pat, did you have a plan B? And I was like, you know what? If I did have a plan B, I probably wouldn't have taken this action, because a lot of times we go to plan B just because plan A is hard, right? How many of us go to plan B because plan A is hard versus getting to that point where, well, maybe plan A, actually we put in time and effort into trying to make that work, but it didn't work. That's interesting. I just thought of that actually. Plan B because plan A is hard might not be the right route. Anyway, just an interesting thought. Now here's a specific strategy that we can use to get some more time back so that we can devote to these side hustles. And again, we're going to get into the specifics. Where do we even start? What do we create a side hustle about? What does this even mean? How might we be able to make money? Is this going to be, I have to blog for a certain number of years or podcast for a certain number of years in order to do this? No, there are ways to get started more quickly. And again, when our special guest comes in, we're going to make this happen. Great guesses, by the way, but no, nobody's gotten it right yet, at least from what I've seen. And yes, I have stepped up and have looked at the chat every so often. So maybe I didn't get it, or maybe I didn't see it. Anyway, I like the guesses. I'm appreciative of all of you and very thankful that you're all here today. We got a big crowd, which is super fantastic. Just thank you so much for your time and attention. Speaking of time, let's go into a specific strategy that will allow you to get a little bit of time back, especially for something like a side hustle, because side hustle might mean that you need some side time to do it. So when might be a great time to do this? A very common thing that people do who want to start something on the side is they wait till the end of the day to do it, which makes sense. Maybe the kids are asleep. Maybe finally you have time to yourself. You've dedicated your time to helping somebody else at work or at the job. And then now you're back home. Now you can finally focus after dinner and whatnot. And you've put the kids down, etc. The hard thing about doing your work for yourself after the entire day is done is that you've already exhausted a lot of those really important creative juices and the decision-making juices that you have that are there when you sleep and you wake up, right? And where have you exhausted it? You've exhausted it at the job that you're at, or the work that you've done for others, or with your kids or your family. I think it was Tim Ferriss who said, like, if you imagine that you wake up in the morning with a newly filled tank, right? And of course, the healthier you are, the bigger this tank is and all this sort of stuff. Health and nutrition definitely do play a role in creativity and productivity and whatnot. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that today. But you wake up with a certain number of, I don't know, bars or what have you, of a certain number of creative elements that you have within you. And then, of course, we go to work or we use it on somebody else, and those hard decisions, especially when things sort of trip us up and we have plans for the day, but then, life gets in the way, something happens, emergencies, fires that we have to put out, etc. By the time that we hit the end of the day, we're exhausted. It's really, really hard. If you really, truly pay attention to when your energy levels are high, oftentimes when we try to devote time and energy to ourselves at the end of the day, it's very difficult to do that. It's like pulling teeth hard to do. In the financial space, there is a strategy called pay yourself first, where when you have a paycheck come in, you take a certain amount, just a small amount, and you just automatically put it into an account. And it's just like as if it wasn't even there, right? And then over time, what happens is this can build your nest egg because you've paid yourself first. This is a rich dad, poor dad sort of situation going on, right? And when you invest a little bit, and you over time make it happen, you're going to have this big nest egg. And of course, if you put it in an investment account, of course, it can grow even faster if you'd like. But devoting some of that paycheck to yourself first, you live within the leftover of what you have, which is pretty cool. I recommend you do the same thing with your time. Pay yourself first with time. And the way I know this is working, because I've implemented this myself. I wake up earlier than the family, and I've moved the end of the day work to the beginning of the day, and I pay myself first with time. That way you wake up and you wake up motivated, because now you know that this is your time for you, whether that's working on yourself mentally and physically or working on your business. This is the time to do it at the start of the day. Pay yourself first with time. And when you do that, even if it's just a half hour extra, maybe just a little bit extra time, because when we think about it, right, our alarms go off in the morning. Why? Usually for somebody else. I would say 99% of us, let me know in the comments if you indeed have an alarm that goes off in the morning and it's an alarm because of somebody else's thing that you're helping with, whether it's a job or getting the kids ready or what have you. If your alarm goes off for somebody else first, let me know in the chat. We need to have it be the other way around. Why not wake up to work on ourselves and our business first, right? And this is a really, really great strategy. Luke says, I think it's Christopher Lloyd coming in. That would be pretty amazing. That would be pretty cool. Not Christopher Lloyd, right? And even just 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever time you might have available, when you wake up and you focus on you, you're more able to provide for others. You are able to then, even if it's just small progressions in your business, these little things start to add up. And I'll tell you, when you have a limited amount of time, you start focusing on a little bit more of productivity. Well, what's important? How do I prioritize? And that's the other smart thing about just productivity in general, especially related to these side businesses, is when we focus on and have an idea of what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. Again, our special guest today is going to help us hone in on that. We can now decide, okay, this is what we are going to do. This is what we're not going to do. When I do an analysis on a lot of my students, and we actually go into and I actually have them write out their daily schedule to the 5 minutes, essentially. Like, what are they doing for 5 minutes? And this is an exercise that you could do if you want. It's hard to do it on your own unless you have somebody else watching over your shoulder and who's going to look at this. So this is why I love to do this with my students, is I like to have them literally write out for one specific day what time they wake up, and every 5 minutes just sort of jot down what they're doing. And it's kind of sad. And in some cases, people have cried at the end of the day, realizing that a lot of their time, when they circle, like I have them circle, how much of these things are you doing for other people? And it's like circling the whole schedule. And it's like, oh my gosh, of course there is no time, because I have no time for myself. I'm dedicating all this time to other people. And of course, you do have to dedicate time to other people, especially if you have family, kids, you have a job. Of course, you need to support your family. But it's very eye-opening to see And this can motivate you to go, wow, I need to find some pocket of time for me to devote to this other thing. And when you find that small pocket of time, you begin to go, wow, I better make sure that time is worth it. Because if you have a large pocket of time without knowing where you're going, then a lot of that work might just be busy work. That makes you feel like you're making progress. And then when you step back a little bit and you look at the overall scheme of things, you're like, wow, I've worked this many hours on this and I've gotten nowhere. It's because you haven't done the right specific things yet. So this is something that often happens is, we work just to feel busy, right? And when we focus a little bit on where we want to go and how to get there, and we have at least a path in place and in some direction, then it can be a lot easier to figure out, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Yes, Samson says the ZV1 is getting a lot of screen time today. Good to see you too, Fabiano. I appreciate you being here. Everybody, we got a lot of new faces here, which is really great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You are amazing. We've got about 13 minutes left until our special guest comes in, and it's going to give us a rundown on how to get started on what we can do as a side business and how to get started with that. But again, I'm still in the mode of unlocking this ability for you to discover extra pockets of time and to discover how important prioritization is. And there's a Japanese proverb that I absolutely love, and it's this. Actually, what is it exactly? I was flowing so well, and then I'm like, I want to get this right, and then I started questioning myself all within a split second. I have to look this up now. I apologize about that. How embarrassing. That's okay. Oh, yeah, I got it now. I got it. I was going to go zoom in. I was going to make it impactful. It's okay. It's okay. This is live, y'all. This is live. This is okay. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Let me say this again. I like the emojis coming in too, by the way. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Action without vision is a nightmare. So, it's just kind of crazy. It makes you think, right? It makes you think. We don't want to live that nightmare, and a lot of us are living that nightmare for sure, right? Jeff says, that's funny. I was just going to ask you if you look at notes somewhere on your screen. I have notes on my phone right here, which is pretty cool. Yes, I love the, I need to do more emojis like that. That actually looks pretty good in there. The camera game is amazing. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. Cool. So let me know your thoughts. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a lot, 1 being not so much, do you feel like you do a lot of busy work that actually doesn't make progress? And it's really important to have this self-reflection up front to understand whether or not it's actually something that that we're a trap we're falling into, because we often don't realize this until either somebody else points it out, which is why with my students I'll often try to point it out for them, or we have this self-realization. So April said, I just heard your Skype guest pop in. Yeah, exactly. It's just they're just making sure that we're ready to go. They're ready, and I'm going to bring them in just a moment. Cool. I'm not vigilant about my time too much. So true. 6, 10, too much busy work trying to get things done. Yeah, and it's hard because sometimes we are taught that getting rid of that busy work first before we focus on our big things is the right thing to do. I think getting things done, which is a big productivity book and movement, talks about, okay, if things are going to take less than 5 minutes, like do them, right? But I kind of don't like that, because it's like, well, I have a lot of things that I can do in under 5 minutes, so I'm just going to pack my day with those things, and then guess what? Never get to the thing that I really wanted to get to. How important are each of those different tasks? There's another book called Essentialism that's great here as well, that has you almost grade from a scale of 1 to 10 how important something is. And this was a really eye-opening book for me too, because essentially all tasks or all things that you do that take your time, you write down. And then you scale from 0 to 10, 10 being the most important, I absolutely must do that, I can't live without it, it is something that I absolutely need to do, to 0, which is like, this should be gone already. And it's the 0 to 6s that are really easy, right? You just stop doing those things. It's the 7s, 8s, and not, it's the 7s and 8s that are the problem, right? The 9s and 10s we will continue and always do. But the 7s and 8s are the ones where it's like, it's important, but it's not as important as these things, but it's still stuff that I'm going to do. And then the 6, 7s, 7s, and 8s are the ones that are really troublesome, because those are the things that the really successful people either hand off or stop doing completely. Even though it's something that they can do, even something that they want to do, they stop doing because now it's just what's essential, if that makes sense, right? So that's tough. That's tough. Cool. The last thing, mindset, productivity, time-wise, that we need to talk about before we bring in our special guest, and we might bring him in a little bit early, in fact, which is great. I want to talk more with this person. I have to think consciously, like I can't say him or her or he or she, because I'm like, that might give away a clue. But I did slip a little bit earlier. I don't know if you've caught that. But anyway, let's keep going here. The last thing I want to talk about is distractions. And by distractions, I mean when we start something and times get a little bit tough, we look to something else to start again. And then when times get tough with that, we look to something else to start again. And then we start again. And then we start again. And I want to give you a little example of how important it is to work on one thing at a time. So number one, knowing what that priority is. And then number two, focusing on that until completion. Focus until completion, right? Follow one course until success. Focus. Follow one course until success. So let's say, for example, you have 3 different projects that you're working on, right? Project A, Project B, and Project C. And for this example, let's imagine that each of them takes 3 weeks. Okay, so follow along. A, B, and C, they each take 3 weeks, 3 different projects, 3 different focuses. So in example number 1, the person who's not focused on one thing at a time, here's what it's like. We do Project A in week 1, and then things either get tough or we get distracted, or bright light syndrome or squirrel syndrome. We go to then Project B on week number 2. And then, hey, you know what? New project, new opportunity, new blog post comes out from somebody big, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I need to do that instead. Week 3, we do Project C. We're not done yet. Remember, each of them takes about 3 weeks to do. And by the end of week 3, we're 33% of the way through each of those things, right? Then week 4 comes around, A. Week 5, B. Week 3, or week 6, C. So by the end of week 6, we've done 66% of each of them. And finally, week 7 comes by. We have finished Project A after week 7, because that was week 1, week 4, and week 7. We finally finished A. And then in week 8, we finally finished B. In week C, we finally finished, week 9, we finally finished C. So by the end of 9 weeks, you have all the projects done. But let's see what happens when we focus on one at a time. Week 1, A. Week 2, A. Week 3, A, done. Instead of being done at week 7, we're done at week 3 now, because we've completely focused on Project A. Follow one course until success. All right? But the other cool thing about this is likely when you are this focused on something and you only allow yourself to learn about these things that are involved with Project A, you can, because you're not transitioning all over the place, which wastes a lot of time, maybe you finish it in 2 weeks. So let's just say that. You finish Project A by week 2. What was once going to take 3 weeks now only took 2 weeks. And you can start Project B now in week 3. And you can have, maybe after 5 weeks, 2 complete projects done as a result, versus only having 66% done by week 6. So hopefully that makes sense. This is something that has been a big eye-opener for me. I saw that at a mastermind group once. I wish I remembered the name of the person who demonstrated this, because it was a big eye-opener. And it showed me that if I just focus, even though I don't want to, even though it's hard, even though there are other things I want to do, I can bring more success and get more results when I focus on one thing at a time. So, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody. Sounds great. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I'm about to bring our special guest on. I'm going to see if this person is ready. and we'll have some fun. I see some guesses here. We'll see who comes up. But hopefully, and just let me know in the chat, which of the things that we've talked about already here in terms of mindset, starting a side hustle. And this is the thing, like, you've probably come on watching this video going, oh my gosh, Pat, just tell me like how to do it. I can't though, because if I tell you how to do it, you're not gonna do it. You need to go here first. So what about what I've shared has been the most impactful for you so far? And yes, a project can be within a specific business that you have. It could be a product launch or something, focusing just on that. So let's see if I can bring this person on. All right. You guys ready for this? This will be fun. Let's see if you got it right. Yo, and here's our special guest, Chalene Johnson, everybody. Hi, Chalene. Can you see us and hear us okay?
Shoot, I don't have my sound on.
Oh, you're all good?
Make sure she has her sound on. Hi, Pat.
Hey. Chalene, you with us? We've already revealed our special guest. And technology, hey, this happens. But I love that y'all guessed Chalene. Some of you guessed Chalene because she is prime time when it comes to starting things on the side. In fact, she has this program called Marketing Impact Academy.
Oh, there we
which has
go.
helped thousands of people, and I'm so excited that she's here. Chalene, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here today.
Hello.
Hello? Are you there?
I'm here.
Yay. Welcome in. Thank you so much for popping by and being our special guest today on the Income Stream. How are you doing?
Team Flynn for the win.
That's right. Team Flynn for the win. That's what I'm talking about. First of all, for people who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself really quick, and then I'm going to dive into questions about the side hustle, because we've been talking about the mindset of side hustle here at the beginning, and people are hungry for the specifics. We're going to get into that. But who is Chalene Johnson, and why are you one of my best friends?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Well, I'm one of your best friends because we share an affinity for rap.
Yes.
And fitness and family and faith and community. And you're also freaking hysterical. And I just love you. You're just one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life. And those are the kinds of people that I keep close to me. That's why we're friends. I don't know how people might know me. I think I'm best known because of my work I've done in infomercials, specifically fitness. I've done, I think 4 now infomercials, 3 #1 hits. Sold tens of millions of exercise DVDs. But I always say that the reason why I've sold a lot of fitness and people know me because of fitness is because, not because I know a lot about fitness, which sounds funny, but because I know business and I know marketing and I love solving problems for people. And it just so happens that one of the things that kind of like catapulted me into being known was fitness. And so because of that, I think people probably associate me with fitness, but what I do every day is really helping people to do what we do, like find a way to make additional income so you can live this amazing life by your design, have fewer worries, more options. And I love what I do. I'm a podcaster and I'm a business creator, but most importantly, I'm a mom and a wife.
And a great mom and a great wife, and I love your family, and from Brock to Brett, your husband, and you guys are so amazing, and I have to thank you publicly because you've personally helped me in business so much. I consider you one of my mentors, and you've given me specific advice about certain things that a lot of people here have seen and know are very successful, like my course, Power Up Podcasting. You helped me with, you were actually the inspiration for creating that, in fact, and that's helped.
I was a little pushy.
You were genuinely you, and you were serving me in such an amazing way that has now served many other people too. And you have this really amazing knack, and of providing value and being entertaining at the same time. And you do this on stage, you do this in your live streams, you do this on Instagram, you do this in your courses like Marketing Impact Academy, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. I know you're in the middle of a launch right now, but I want to talk about side hustles because we have a lot of people here who are hungry, who know they need to devote some time to an additional income stream, but they don't know where to start. They got the mindset, they know they need to focus, but they don't know where to start. How would you recommend people get started, or where would they start to find something on the side?
Yeah. I think it depends on your specific situation. So there are lots of ways to make money online, and some of them take a lot more time and more money and more effort and more experience. And I think some of them are really easy, and you could start tomorrow with very limited time and zero startup costs. So, there's really, I think you could, I'm sure there's an exception, but I think you kind of like put every type of online business into one of 4 categories. Like you're either a reseller, you're promoting something else for someone else or some other company. The second category. The third category is you're providing something that you've probably created. And then the fourth category is you're producing something and selling it. And maybe there's exceptions, but most online businesses fall into one of those 2 categories. Now, if you're producing something that you and I both know, I mean, like I can see behind you something that you spent a lot of time and a lot of money producing. When you're producing something, there you go, your flip pod. You have to spend a lot of time and often a lot of money investing in, and developing it and prototypes. And you spend a lot of time and money up front. The payback comes maybe years later. So for me, that's not the place where people should start. And I think a lot of people do because they're like, oh, I want to hit that big home run. I want to be, I just want to crush it. So I've got to invent something. I've got to produce something. And I think we lose momentum because we don't experience the small wins. I also think that based on what's happened in this economy with the coronavirus and everything else, that a lot of people are just starting over. Like they had created a business and it got wiped out, or it's not making any money and they don't know when it's going to come back. And so they need to look at something like right now to pay the bills. And I think the ideal way to do that is either being a reseller or a promoter. And for some people, a provider.
So when you say reseller or promoter, give us an example of kind of what that's like so people can sort of understand more about what that's like.
Well, what I love about reselling, and I just finished a 5-day challenge where we had 25,000 people for free. And we said, okay, I don't want to say I tricked people, but I said, okay, I'm going to help you declutter. And then we're going to sell some of your clutter, because sometimes that makes it easier for people to let go of things that they've been hoarding for too long. Not that you would ever want to get rid of any of your Star Wars collection.
Never.
But we did this, and I would say over 70% of the people who were part of this challenge had never made any online income. So what we did is we walked them through day by day, like, okay, what apps do you sell clothes on? What apps are the best apps to sell trinkets on, or your, pots and pans and things you have in your kitchen? And we taught people like what apps to use, how to set up payment, how to take photos, how to list it, how to price it, and do that within 3 days. And within 3 days, we had like thousands and thousands and thousands of people going like, I got a $6 sale, I got a $26 sale, I got a $150 sale, I got a $1,000 sale. And I think by accident, they realized like, okay, what you're doing right now is a side hustle. And it could be a full-time thing. But until people understand like it is possible today, because there are apps that allow us to do this for free from our home, from our freaking phones, it is possible for everybody to create an online income. I don't know. I'd be curious what your opinion is, Pat. I don't know that everyone can be, an entrepreneur where they've got a team of people they're leading and coming up with their own content. But I do know absolutely everyone, any age, including children, have the ability to kind of take care of themselves and create their own income online, an additional stream of income. And so a reseller is just one version of that. And then the second option is to be a promoter.
The reselling idea is great. I loved that you just crushed that challenge, and congrats to you and all the people who have participated in that. I mean, you could expand on that, right? Like once you learn the process of how to do this for your own stuff and you declutter your home, you go to your neighbor's home, right? And you go, hey, do you have some stuff lying around that I could sell for you online? And maybe you split the cost, or maybe they'll just give it to you because they're trying to get rid of it. And I would imagine that once you learn how to do this could work out really well. I used to, I had an interview on my podcast once where people were doing something kind of similar, where they were taking clearance items from Walmart and Target and then reselling them on Amazon through Amazon FBA. And some people now going full time with that. And that's legit what they do now, which is pretty cool. And it just starts with a small thing. And like, I'd love for you to speak on, everybody here is super motivated. We want to go big right out of the gate. But we know that that either leads to disappointment, even if you're doing well, or it's just the light's so far at the end of the tunnel, we can't even see it.
Yeah.
How do you recommend we start getting motivated when especially we're trying and it's maybe not working out right from the start? Because we are an impatient species, at least in this current time.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting dichotomy, like, because we've heard from so many motivational speakers, and it's kind of the American dream, like, dream bigger,
Right.
think bigger, like, go for it. And I think it's hurt us in some regards because we make it so big, and because of social media we can see people who are crushing it and killing it, and we think, well, I have to start where they are, or I need to be at that level in order to become a success. And I know it sounds strange, but I really think we have to start teaching people to start smaller, because if you don't, because if it's so big you never start. If there feel like there's so many steps, like even today I'm watching your live broadcast, right? And I'm like, is he switching between camera angles? Like, I just barely got ring lights up, and I'm like, do I need to like switch between camera angles now? So I'm like, the average person might be like, oh, I can't even do it. And we set our sights on someone who started many years ago, and we don't know about their beginnings, and that their beginnings were likely very small and very focused. So I think the number one thing that my advice that I give to people is that instead of trying to do 10 things and making them huge, focus like a laser beam on one and get it right and make it small. And with each small win, you get this like momentum that builds up like a snowball, and you feel a little bit better about it, and you have more confidence, and you're willing to try the next thing. And then you just kind of take the next right step in the right order, as opposed to, looking at someone who's 5 years down the road from you and trying to emulate their success.
Yeah, we've talked about imposter syndrome here quite a bit, and it's one of those things that it's like you're comparing yourself to somebody else's story, and it's like you're apples and oranges. You're completely different. I recommend comparing yourself to yourself yesterday, to yourself last week, right? And how are you improving, and how are you getting better, right? Incremental improvements. What are your thoughts on, as far as side hustles, like reselling? I love that idea. That's something we can all do like literally today, whether it's eBay, Etsy, or what have you, or FBA on Amazon. What about those who are in the audience who have perhaps a special skill or talent, or the ability to serve another person using those skills that they might have? How do we make that achievable? How do we make that graspable as a side hustle to start?
Yeah, let me combine those two. So one of the gals that I feature as part of this Challenger name is Leslie Tucker. I had her on my podcast this week or last week. She's just started selling on Poshmark. She was working as a lunch lady and didn't love it. Something, more, not the kids, but like politics, whatever, wasn't loving her job, and started selling on Poshmark for fun, and very quickly realized, like, wait a second, I can make what I'm making per week. I could replace my income. So she started doing it more full time, and then learning how to source, which is what the reseller community calls going out to find things that they know will resell well. And it's just crazy the things that people don't. It's crazy. How many things have you donated that you're like, God, I donated this and I spent a fortune on it. It's brand new, but I need to declutter and get rid of it.
Yes.
Well, me too. And so she turned that into a full-time income, quit her job, and now she's a full-time reseller. That's a reseller. But then, because she learned how to do that, she took that knowledge and expertise and repackaged it and moved into that second tier of entrepreneurship, or what I like to call second stream, because she's still doing the reselling. That's a stream. And now what she's doing is she's teaching people how to become full-time resellers. So now she's become a provider. And those are related, but those are two very separate streams. So where, if the reselling were to go away, or she wanted to take a break from it or whatever, she can, because she has this additional stream. And I think that's where we need to be today in today's economy, is we need to be very careful not to have one stream of income, no matter how much control we feel like we have. 2020 has taught us that the unexpected can happen. And the best way to be prepared for that is by having, more than one stream of income. However, you have to build them one at a time.
Yes. The focus, one thing at a time, for sure. let's say there's a person in the audience, they're a graphic designer. They love to make logos and build, little graphics for people here and there. And they've always just kind of done it as a hobby or for favors for others. But now it's the time to start monetizing this. What would be your recommendation to have this person take this skill that literally anybody can go anywhere to get these things? Oftentimes these people who might have the skill might go, wow, why would anybody buy from me?
Mm-hmm.
How do you recommend they get out of that mindset and actually start putting dollars in their accounts?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would start with that, beginner opportunity where you can jump on somebody else's website, like freelance or Upwork, or Fiverr, which, it's not just $5 gigs anymore, but there's so many, opportunities online where you can sign up to be a gig worker. People are looking for that type of work from a consultant. My daughter does that. So, that's how she's supporting herself to move out and fend for herself. And it's really cool the way she's been able to just get this great work from other people. And even with no experience, she just started by showing people the stuff that she had done without pay as part of her portfolio. So even if you don't have paid experience, you have experience designing things, you put those things up as part of your portfolio. Let's take that same individual and it's years or maybe not even years, 6 months down the road, whatever it is. And you realize what I can do is I can teach people how to do what it is I do. And you can teach people your process. So you could market, for example, a course and teach people your process of how it is you come up with branding and logos and how it is you focus on design that's really appealing in today's market and it's updated and current and it relates to the brand. You could create a course that does that. You could create a course that teaches other graphic artists how to market themselves. I mean, so there's all these different things. It's really about what is my passion, but you can't do them all at once. And I'm just going to keep repeating that because I personally believe you need to pick one thing, as we both have, and crush it and get it to the point where it's almost like you can set it and forget it, where it's making you some income. You don't have to spend all of your days and nights devoted to it. People know you for this. And then you have permission. And when I say permission, from a time perspective and also from an industry perspective, to do the next thing. And that next thing might be starting a YouTube channel. That next thing might be, going from podcasting to teaching a podcasting course or teaching a course on affiliate marketing. So, but you want to wait until you get it to that point where you're like, okay, I've got a lot of systems in place. Mm-hmm. It's running successfully, smoothly. And I can take that foundation that I built this success on and bring that foundation into the next stream of income that I want to build.
I love it. I love the way your mind works because you're already thinking about step 2 and step 3. Even though we need to make money now, we can still build for even a bigger future. So step 1, to rephrase, if I'm a designer, I'm going to go do freelance work. I'm going to go design. I'm going to hone in on my skills and learn the process because I also want to help others do the same thing too. And that would actually motivate me to really focus on my procedures, understand how to actually do it better, how to actually sell to clients and all this stuff. And anything I would learn about, I would only learn about the moment I need that information, right? I think a lot of us are in learning overload as well, which doesn't help when it comes to taking action. So that's phase 1. And then I love that because then when you start going out and sharing your process with others, it's a fresh process. It's proven, you've done it yourself. And then when it comes to that point, my recommendation would be to start small again. Find one other person that you can help to start. And I love that because now I can remove myself from the work eventually. So it's very much me first and only me. I'm a designer. I have to do this on my own. But then eventually I know I want to teach others to do the same thing so that I can remove myself from that design work and help other designers, almost like myself getting into them to spread the way that I do things even more and clone myself essentially in a way. And, and you can do it from there. How would you respond to the person who's teaching the thing that I just learned? Isn't that aren't I not expert enough to do this? And aren't there so many other experts who do that already? Why would people come to me when I just learned how to do this?
Yeah, it's funny. My son Brock this year really started focusing on being an Instagram coach, teaching people how to correct their bios, how to sell on stories, just really focusing on Instagram. And he came down one morning, he goes, okay, what do I do? I've got this person who just booked a session with me and they have over 500,000 followers. And Mom, I have 40,000 followers. And I said, you know, how do you feel about it? He goes, well, I just looked at what they're doing, and I can see a lot of things that they can improve. I said, well, what do you know about the fact that they have, you know, this big following? Is it that they're doing things right? He goes, no, they probably started way back in the beginning, and it's probably one of the reasons why they've hit a plateau and their account isn't growing. I'm like, well, that's what we have to remember, that people will come to us because we have a fresh perspective. We have a unique way of teaching it, and we just connect with that person. You and I have our own mentors, people that we look to learn from. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so for me, and I think everyone remembers their first personal development crush, right? Not or crush, you know, introduction. I don't know who yours was, but for me, my first introduction to personal development, now it feels super creepy that I said crush, was Brian Tracy.
Hey, Brian.
I don't have dad issues, I swear. But you know, there was something about the way, like there's a million people that teach what he teaches, like productivity and time management and goal mastery. There's like a million people that teach what he teaches. But there was something about his delivery that I heard every word as if it was the first time. And that's what we're all looking for, that person who the way they teach, the way they share, that's what we're looking for. And yes, of course, there's a million people that do it. And you just have to be like one day ahead of the person that you're teaching, or have a different, you don't even have to be ahead. You just have to have a different perspective.
Yeah, that's so true. And, you know, there's people who are going to want to learn from you and not the other person, even those who have done it for a while. And I found that in my experience, just being a couple steps ahead is much more valuable than somebody who's light years ahead who just speaks a different language, right? You actually have a better opportunity to teach people having just gone through the process or still going through it, right? So I definitely agree with that. And of course, when you put yourself out there, I mean, you're going to attract the right people. Your vibe attracts your tribe, and your people will come to you. And it just takes time. It takes putting yourself out there. How would you, okay, actually, here's a question from Susan here. It says, but
it's fun to see these questions.
When things move so fast, like YouTube is hot right now, but by the time I get to that point, 6 months down the road, for example, it might not be anymore. So how do I not miss out on the flow? If I'm starting my side hustle now, and I have plans for what I want to do with it later, but things are changing so fast, how do I make sure to be on point with when that time comes?
You almost can't worry about that. You just can't. You know, I think I want to back this up a little bit and mention to people that we've also been told repeatedly that you need to find your passion and your purpose and do that. Mm-hmm. And I also think that prevents people from ever really starting, because if I started in the thing that was truly my passion and purpose, I wouldn't be here today. I had to start in doing the thing where there was an opportunity at that moment. It was the right season for that opportunity. So when I first moved to California and I graduated from Michigan State, and I had like 5 businesses, I was trying to make one of them pop. I was teaching stay-at-home moms how to start a business from home, and I was renting out conference rooms in hotels to do these, you know, workshops for women, and I was spending tons of money on advertising and marketing, and like 6 women would show up. Mm-hmm. And 4 of them were friends of mine who didn't even have children, who I'm like, please just come so I'm not there by myself. That was my passion and my purpose. I wanted to teach women how to do that, but it wasn't the right time. And I didn't have to give up on that, but I had to set it aside because the opportunity was happening in one of my other businesses, which was teaching other instructors how to teach fitness classes. So I created this workout program that was working for me as a fitness instructor, but it wasn't my full-time gig. It was just something I did to like stay in shape. And I developed this way of like putting music and choreography together. And I saw that there were all these other fitness instructors who were spending hours creating their classes. And I was like, oh, this is a big opportunity. It might not be the thing that I'm super passionate about, but I can see that I've got this solution and there's this huge opportunity. So I need to set all these, I was also writing ebooks, and I was trying to do these workshops, and I was trying to license a personal training business. So trying to do all these things. And I had to go like, these are all really hard and I'm passionate about them, but this one has an immediate opportunity right now. And I need that success, you know, to create that snowball effect. And so I chose that opportunity. And I think it is a myth and a misconception, and maybe even a disservice that we're telling people. We're making people feel like you have to find your purpose and your passion. That's a scary thought, because then you're like, what if I pick the wrong one?
Right.
What if the one that I've picked, I'm not making any money at it? So I tell people, don't worry about that. That'll come later. Pick the thing where you see an opportunity right now.
That's huge. I love that. Another question before we're getting maybe 10, 15 minutes here with you still. If you still have time with us today, I'd love to keep asking you some questions. I also want to share this. Marla said, as always, perfect timing. I needed to hear this and be reminded today that my way is exactly what people who connect with me are looking for, not just the content. So thank you, Marla, for that comment. And thank you, Chalene, for helping inspire us today. When it comes to making money, I know that there are going to be some mindset issues when it comes to asking to get paid, or, the reselling thing makes sense. Here's a thing, thank you for the money. But when it comes to especially skills, or we have services, or we're coaching somebody, how do you recommend we get comfortable putting a price on that and charging people for stuff when, yes, we do want to serve, but we also need to get paid too? What are your thoughts around money and asking people for money?
Money mindset's huge, man. It is huge. And I think a lot of it is, instead of asking people, it's how we frame it, right? Like I'm never selling. I'm always serving, or I'm helping people make a decision that could change their lives. That's it. And when it comes to pricing ourselves, it's funny, like you said, when you're reselling something, you're like, oh, I have no problem selling this thing for $50 because I know I bought it for $400. Mm-hmm. And I know it's like a steal. I'm almost like annoyed that they're buying it for $50, right? And for whatever reason, we discount ourselves because we're thinking of ourselves as selling. And what you need to do is think about the same thing, like, how much did I have to invest to get this knowledge? How many hours, and what is my time worth? How many years of experience did it take for me to get to this point? How much have I invested in terms of my own education and my own development? And what would it take for someone to have to be right where I'm at today? Might be tens of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours. And so now when I'm thinking about offering this at, $5,000, it feels like a steal, because I'm giving you my MBA, which I spent $120,000 on. So you want to feel like, in my opinion, you want to feel like this is a no-brainer when you price something. You have to understand, and that starts with you understanding your own worth, and I don't think that we give ourselves enough credit. But if you take out a pen and a piece of paper, and I suggest you do that. If you struggle with this, it's an exercise I suggest for my students all the time. Take out a pen and a piece of paper and write down the number of years that it took. Write down the number of hours that you listened to podcasts, audiobooks, took the time to review online courses. Write down the number of dollars that you invested in each and every additional training, and the mistakes that you've made and how costly those things were. And then you're going to see this and you're going to go like, yeah, I feel really good. I feel really excited to offer my services at this price.
I'm literally getting, I don't know if y'all could see the hairs on my arm standing up, but I'm literally getting goosebumps, and there's a lot of great comments here. I love, who is it just recently? Somebody just said it, Martin here just said, and it all suddenly makes sense now.
Oh, that's cool.
And I hope you all take this and maybe even do the same exercise that Chalene just mentioned, because we so often just undervalue ourselves, and we forget about all the work that we put in. And you had done this for me, Chalene, when you helped inspire me to create Power Up Podcasting. Like, it was like mind-blowing, because you were like asking me these same questions, like, how long have you been podcasting for? What kind of mistakes that you made? Yeah, you're totally offering this at a price that's an absolute, people are robbing you at this price point. You said that. I don't know if you remember that, but you're like, people are robbing you. And I was like, well, that's good. That's exactly how I wanted to feel. And I remember I was on stage at MIA, your event for Marketing Impact Academy, which is just probably the coolest group of people I've ever met. Honestly, I always feel so welcomed at the conferences, and I know that things are virtual right now, but I can't wait to get back on stages, and especially your stage, because it's just such an incredible crowd. But going into that, you had asked me to sell that course on stage You had coached me, I'd called you, you had helped me through a lot of the mindset issues that I was having. These same exact discussions are coming up. So I'm so glad all of you are watching this right now and able to hear this happening. And I remember waking up that day that I was going to go on stage, sell the beta version of this course, Power Up Podcasting. Yep. And I was so nervous and so worried, feeling like slime, because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel icky selling. I've given away everything for free for so long. This is not me. This is not me. But you promised me that this was of value and that if I come from a place of service, people are going to buy. And at the moment of that presentation, 45 minutes in, as soon as I mentioned Power Up Podcasting, there was an applause.
That was crazy. No, you mentioned the price, Pat.
Oh, the price, and then people
You
clapped.
mentioned the price, and people stood up and applauded. And I looked at Brad, I go, oh, this is priceless. Because you know why? Because you didn't sell. And that was the conversation that we had before you went on stage. I said, there's going to be people in the audience who want to know exactly how to work with you. And that would cost, tens of thousands of dollars for you to individually mentor people to get a podcast started. Teach them how to do that. And then don't sell it. Just explain what it is your course does and what is included. And if you explain it, and allow people who need it to make a decision, make an informed decision. And that's what we have to do. Everybody, reframe the way you feel about selling. If you're selling, then you are slimy. Selling is that person who's not listening, who's trying to get us to buy something that we don't need because they're trying to make a quota. I never sell. I'm going to explain something to you so that you can decide if it's the right time for you. And also if it's not right for you, because I don't want you to buy something that's not going to help you. I don't want you to invest in something that's I don't want you to invest in a podcast course when what you thought you were buying was a course on how to kill it on Etsy. Like, you have to just explain it to people and then say, so if you want it, here it is. And people literally were running to the back of the room. We were dying. And we were like, you were still standing on stage, kind of trying to explain it. And I'm like, Pat, there's nobody in the room. They're all waiting in the back.
Incredible.
To join. We're like, you're done.
It was the most amazing feeling. And I went backstage, and after the celebratory sort of remarks from you and your team, I went back to my hotel room and I literally just cried my eyes out because I couldn't believe that people were willing to spend money with me. And then I really had to reframe that focus. And I said, oh my gosh, people need this information. And that's how I started thinking about it. And then I just kind of did what I could to over deliver for your audience and make sure that I upheld that promise. And we've had thousands of students go through there now. That course has made well over $1.5 million thanks to you and thanks to these mindset shifts. And
that's awesome.
This is the kind of stuff that Chalene teaches. She teaches people individually. She teaches people in her courses and such. And I'm so thankful. I popped up a comment earlier from Scooby Life who said, thank you for curating and bringing Chalene on today, because this is your expertise, helping people through actually building things and actually getting over those fears as well. So thank you for that. Dole Whip Dads here says, now I have chills. I love this. Chalene's explaining this so well. So many great points to take action on. So much appreciation. We have hundreds of people watching now and thousands more who are going to watch this, Chalene. So before you go, two things. I know you have a launch going on right now for Marketing Impact Academy. And before, actually, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is Marketing Impact Academy? I know a lot of people in my audience loved working with you. I've shared this course in the past, and it's helped a lot of people. Yeah. And now that you've gotten to know Chalene a little bit, she might be the right person to learn from, and you might enjoy your vibe. If not, no worries. But what is Marketing Impact Academy, and what do people get?
I want to explain it for people so you can decide if it's the right thing for you. Well, it's what I needed after spending 5 years trying to figure out how to build an online business and taking countless courses. And then every time I take a course, I'd realize oh, I guess I needed to do this step first. Oh, shoot. I tried to take this course on affiliate marketing, but I don't even have a website. Oh, and I've got to figure out how to do this. And now I want to learn how to send emails. Oh, I've got to figure out how to create an opt-in page or it's just all these pieces when it comes to an online business. And as hard as I tried to find someone somewhere that would tell me, what order am I supposed to do these things in? Can someone tell me, is there a syllabus somewhere? I realized there was a need for that. And so I took everything I've learned and every expert that I know and brought them into one academy. And kind of like when you go to college and you start at the 101 course, I built it so that you do things in the right order so that you don't waste time, so that when you do need to take a break, because a lot of us do sometimes, you can do that. It's an online virtual academy that teaches you everything you need to know about business from start to finish. Even for that person who's like, I have no idea what to do for a side hustle. I just know I need one. And we walk people through that process of, those really early stages where, again, I don't think people need to necessarily focus on their purpose and their passion. You just need to focus on the opportunity. We'll help you find it. We'll help you develop it. And then once that's successful, you move into the next thing. It's an online virtual learning experience with lifetime access. And we've helped over, tens of thousands of people. We have 7,000 students right now inside the academy. And from every strange, bizarre niche you can imagine. It's just really cool to see people take the same foundational pieces, and when you do it in the right order, it gives you a proven result, and that's fun.
That's awesome. If y'all want to check out Chalene's program, Marketing Impact Academy, again, like I said, an amazing group of people. You can check out the link there, patflynn.com/MIA. That is my affiliate link, so if you go through that, I do get a commission. But just super thankful that you've shared this with us today. And what would be your final piece of advice for people who are watching this? They're ready for that side hustle, whether they take advantage of this offer or not. They're going to go out there, they're going to put themselves out there, and they're going to get challenged. They're going to hit a wall. They're not going to get results right away. What is your advice for keeping going?
Invest in yourself. And when I say invest in yourself, hire someone or invest in a course, because, it took me too long to figure that piece out. And too often I hear people say, well, I can't afford to do that. And it was when I finally realized I can't afford not to. I have to make this leap of faith and invest in my own mentors so that I can save myself years, and learn the shortcuts. And so I think the number one thing I would tell people is it starts by making an investment in yourself, in your business, and that investment will give you, they say on average, for every dollar that you invest in personal or business development, there's a $7 return. Well, I happen to know that for that might be the average, but when you implement, you can 10x that. And Pat, you and I'm sure we could challenge everyone who's watching right now to think of anybody who's at the top of any industry. And I triple dog dare you to find someone who didn't get there with the help and investment in either a mentor or a coach or education. Like you can't do this on your own. You can, but it's going to take 10 times longer, and you just don't need to today. There's so many people who want to help you get there.
Chalene, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody who here in the chat, let's say thank you to Chalene Johnson. I appreciate you. And if you're watching the replay, say hello in the replay as well to Chalene. And again, if you want to take advantage of this offer and what's coming up, patflynn.com/MIA right there. patflynn.com/MIA for Marketing Impact Academy. They're right in the middle of a launch right now. And I don't do this. In fact, you're the first person to ever come on after 155 days of this going live straight on YouTube that I've ever sort of recommended a person's program. So I don't do this very often, and I would only do it for people
real honor.
Like yourself. So
because I know how much we both are this way. We really are very, very selective about things we recommend to our audience, because we are our tribe. Like, we are part of the tribe. And so we want to take care and protect people, and our integrity is everything. So that means a lot to me. I love you. And I can't believe you've been doing this every single day.
It's crazy, right? And I'm not stopping anytime soon, so long as we're in the pandemic and I'm like waking up and just, and
now you're growing a beard and you're growing plants.
I'm gardening now. Like, who am I?
I'm tie-dyeing. Like, what is going on with quarantine?
I have seen you roller skate though. And I want to roller skate now, too.
Oh my God!
We're gonna get the kids started. We'll have to skate sometime together.
Let's do it. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Chalene. I'm gonna say goodbye to you, and then I'm gonna say bye to the friends here too. And watch the replay if you can. Thanks, Chalene. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Hey, thank you so much for coming in today. Super fun to have a special guest on. One of my mentors, Chalene Johnson, coming on to help and serve us today. And wow, literally getting goosebumps. Especially, like, I've never heard anybody, have you ever heard anybody phrase pricing in such an eloquent and beautiful manner where it makes sense? That exercise of writing down all that it's taken you to get to the point that you're at now before you help and share with other people that same skill is just kind of mind-blowing. honestly, I've never heard it phrased that way. And that's like, we need to clip that. That is an amazing insight. But thank you so much for today. I appreciate you. And tomorrow is Friday. So Friday Fun Day, where we're going to bring out the wheel. We're going to have some prizes. And I didn't tell you this, but for every person who goes through this link, patflynn.com/MIA, as a bonus, and we'll get the list of people who purchase after, you're also going to get access to my course, Email Marketing Magic, which is a $699 course. And you get that for free if you go through this link and you take advantage of her offer. And if you're already in Marketing Impact Academy, or excuse me, if you're already a Email Marketing Magic customer of mine, then we'll offer you another course instead. But we'll get that information and all that figured out later. But that's my bonus for going through this and being a part of this today. So patflynn.com/MIA. And isn't she great? I absolutely love Chalene. She's helped me out so much. And I still got a lot to learn because she is just an amazing, amazing person. So anyway, hey y'all, thank you so much. And before you go, for those of you in the live chat today, from Chalene's section, what was the biggest realization or biggest lesson that you learned? I'd love for her to come back and read all these and get inspired, and maybe we can invite her back on in the future to talk about more things too. It's making me also think about, like, what do I have in the house that I could resell too? Like, I really want to go and look and see, maybe just challenge. Maybe we can make that a YouTube video, just like finding stuff, reselling it, and being a part of Chalene's challenge. That could be really cool too. Somebody said we should have a beatboxing / rapping situation with Chalene. Next time we come on, maybe we'll have her come on one of the Fridays or chill Sundays for fun, and we can do a little rap contest. I don't know with the delay how that would work, but anyway, we'll figure it out. Anyway, that would be super fun. But anyway, yeah, she's super cool. Thank you so much for coming in today, Team Flynn. Team Flynn for the win. I appreciate you. Come back tomorrow for a Friday Fun Day. Prizes. We got the wheel. We got some fun and games, and maybe a little bit of embarrassing moments, as we often do, thanks to the wheel. But anyway, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Big thanks to all the new members as well. Thank you. And all the super chats that came in too. I appreciate you. You are helping to support this month, putting a stop to human trafficking. We're donating all the super chats, all the member fees that have come in to polarisproject.org. And my family and I will be matching that, and we're going to be supporting to help stop human trafficking. And again, if you would like to check out Chalene's course, patflynn.com/MIA. You also get a bonus course from me, Email Marketing Magic, as well. So hey, Team Flynn, you're amazing. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow here at patflynn.com/The Income Stream. Cheers, peace, and love.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Thank you. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are recognized. You belong here. I love you so much. Thank you for your support. And Chalene, once again, if you are in fact still watching this, you are incredible. Thank you. Super chat from Michelle. Thank you. Michelle, you're amazing. Take care, y'all. Peace and love.
Bruh.